Hello fellow quirky people. Today we're going to look at the ways in which Zack Snyder's DCEU would have formed parallels with the MCU. The DCEU had a commendable beginning with Man of Steel, but everyone knows what happened after that. There was a lot of studio meddling in Batman vs Superman and Justice League. Almost 30 minutes of Batman vs Superman were removed from the film, and the box office numbers plummeted because of that. And since the film didn't make $1 billion, Warner Bros. Felt cold feet with Snyder's entire vision for the future. Justice League was changed drastically, and the goal was to make the DCEU more like the MCU. On top of that, a stupid 2-hour mandate was added into the film to try and secure more screenings in a day. But they didn't even realize the fact that they could have beaten Marvel at their own game.
I could tell you meant that.
Both Infinity War and Endgame were very long movies, and they still became the highest-grossing superhero movies. The DCEU could have done that. Snyder's original vision was different than the MCU in many ways, but in general terms, many elements would have been very similar to what happened in Infinity War and Endgame. And what's crazy is that he might have achieved all that before Marvel. So jokes on Warner Bros. Because they were already moving in the same direction as the MCU was. It's just that they didn't know about it, because Marvel kept their plans a big secret. They folded way too early. And then, the drastic changes they made after Snyder's specific setups just didn't work. WB's idea of making MCU-like movies was to make lighter and humorous films. But in doing that, they lost a great narrative standpoint that could have competed with Marvel big time. The stories of Snyder's unmade Justice League sequels are very similar to Infinity War and Endgame. We've already pointed out certain similarities between Justice League and the Avengers in other videos. Now I'm going to give you 10 similarities between Snyder's future DCEU plans and the MCU. But before that, you could do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon. Okay, here's the first major similarity. Solo movies including an Asian superhero film. While Snyder would have shot Justice League 2 and 3, we were supposed to get solo movies for the other superheroes. The Flash was going to arrive in 2018, and it would have tied into Justice League 2. The same goes for Ben Affleck's The Batman, Aquaman, and Shazam. After that, we would have seen films for Cyborg and the Green Lantern Corps. This is similar to how the solo projects of MCU's Phase 3 led into Infinity War and Endgame. And what's crazy is that Snyder had planned for an all-Asian-led movie for The Atom. Marvel is doing that with Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. But Warner Bros. Could have done that way before Marvel. Sadly, they removed the scenes Chiang Kai shot as Ryan Choi in Justice League. And they did not move forward with the Atom project that Snyder had suggested. 2-part finale event. Initially, Avengers 3 and 4 were called Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. But later, the title of Avengers 4 was changed from Infinity War Part 2 to Endgame.
We're in the Endgame now.
Still, these two movies were linked. They were almost shot back to back and acted as a big 2-part finale event. The case would have been similar with Justice League 2 and 3. Justice League 2 would have taken place a while after the first one, and all the solo films would have led into this 2-part finale event. Endgame gave the MCU a new beginning, and Justice League 3 would have done the same for the DCEU. The cosmic big bad wins. Avengers Infinity War showed us how the cosmic big bad Thanos that was teased in the first Avengers film won against the heroes. He accomplished his mission by snapping his fingers and reducing half of all living beings to dust. Similarly, DCEU's cosmic big bad Darkseid would have won against the Justice League in Part 2. He was teased towards the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And in Justice League 2, he would have killed Lois Lane and got his hands on the anti-life equation. With that, Superman would have succumbed to his will and he would have conquered Earth. People would have bent to his will, with only a few others being able to resist the effects of the anti-life. Fun fact, Thanos was actually inspired by Darkseid. He was Marvel's counterpart of DC's Darkseid. And these two villains would have won against the heroes around the same time in live-action movies. Okay, moving on, the next similarity is death of key players. Once Thanos snapped his fingers, heroes like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Wanda, and most of the Guardians were turned to dust. They died towards the end of Infinity War. Darkseid would have killed the key players of Justice League in the same way. Both Aquaman and Wonder Woman would have perished, and Superman would have been under his control. So the League was going to be left very vulnerable, with Batman leading a resurgence against an evil Superman and the ruler of Apokolips. The time jump. After Thanos won and turned the Infinity Stones to atoms, we had a 5-year time jump between Infinity War and Endgame. There was supposed to be similar time jumps between Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. During this time, Darkseid would have conquered Earth with the help of Superman. As the Nightmare sequence showed, he killed Aquaman and attended Wonder Woman's funeral. And with no major powerhouse left to defend Earth, the DCEU would have ended up in the nightmare future where Earth was almost turned into Apocalypse. Help from the cosmos. The mid-credits scene of Captain Marvel tied directly into Infinity War and Endgame as Carol showed up at the Avengers headquarters.
Where's Fury?
She helped the Avengers take on Thanos from that point onwards, and ultimately, she fought against the Mad Titan in the final Endgame battle. The Justice League would have had similar help from the cosmos. At the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, we saw Martian Manhunter finally show up to lend his hand to Bruce Wayne. That could be considered as help from a cosmic being, but it wasn't meant to be this way. Martian Manhunter would have joined the League in the sequel, but it was supposed to be Green Lantern meeting Bruce at his lake house. Wayne T. Carr's John Stewart Green Lantern would have joined the League in parts 2 and 3, and he would have brought Kilowog and the Green Lantern Corps to aid the League against Darkseid. Zack Snyder really fought Warner Bros. For this John Stewart cameo, but they didn't allow him to use the new scene he shot.
But Zack did. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
Do you bleed? You will.
Time Mission. The Avengers led a time heist to undo the snap. They collected Infinity Stones, and then Hulk snapped his fingers to bring all the dead guys back. But in the case of Justice League, Batman, Deathstroke, and the other survivors would have pulled off a heist to build the Cosmic Treadmill. Like the Quantum Tunnel, the Cosmic Treadmill was going to be key to time travel. With that, Barry Allen was supposed to go back in time and warn Bruce Wayne about keeping Lois Lane safe and alive. In his first try, Barry would have gone too far back in time, leading us to his time travel scene in Batman vs. Superman.
Am I too soon? I'm too soon!
But upon his second try, his warning would have been successful.
It's Lois! It's Lois Lane! She's the key!
Bruce would have saved Lois, and Superman would not have succumbed to the anti-life equation. So the nightmare future would have been erased. Like Avengers Endgame, time travel would have been the key to the League's victory in Justice League 3. The Defenders of Earth came together. The Avengers Assemble moment of Endgame brought in almost every existing hero. We had the Avengers, Guardians, the New Avengers, Sorcerers, Ravagers, Wakandans, and all the sidekick heroes. Meanwhile, Thanos brought his armies along with the Black Order. Zack Snyder revealed how Justice League 3 would have given us a similar assembly moment. Darkseid's army was going to include the Parademons and the New Gods. On the League side, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, Mera, Martian Manhunter, the Atom, and Green Lanterns would have been a part of the team. Shazam would have probably showed up as well. Even anti-heroes like Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, Deadshot, and others might have been present. And the final battle would have involved the Atlanteans, Amazon, and the armies of men. Sadly, it wasn't meant to be. A big sacrifice. Even after all the Avengers assembled, it was still not enough to take down Thanos. He almost won, and it took Tony Stark's big sacrifice to end the war. On the side of Justice League, Batman would have been the billionaire leader to make the big sacrifice. In the nightmare scene, Joker teased how multiple timelines were destroyed because Batman didn't have the balls to die himself.
How many alternate timelines do you destroy the world because, frankly, you don't have the colonies to die yourself?
Well, guess what? He was going to make the sacrifice play in Justice League 3, and that would have ended the war. It's similar to how the Avengers only won in 1 out of 14 million plus future alternatives because Tony sacrificed himself in this timeline. The happy ending. While Tony made the sacrifice play, Steve ended up living the happy life he was robbed of. And in the DCEU, Superman would have got this happy ending. He and Lois would have raised a son named Bruce. And 20 years later, Bruce Kent was going to become the new Batman. So you see how the DCEU could have also created something magnificent like the MCU? But Warner Bros. Robbed us of that greatness. And now, we can only get solo movies that lead to trilogies at best. There would be no major crossover events involving multiple heroes.
I understand, sir.
I don't.
The continuity has become way too messed up.
That's enough.
You should be ashamed.
My
You
apologies.
should be ashamed.
Diana.
All of you should
Diana.
be ashamed.
And that's the sole reason why people are demanding the restoration of the Snyderverse. But it won't happen. The ship has sailed as Warner Brothers is too invested into their upcoming slate. Now let's see if the new merger with Discovery could change things around. Would you like the restoration of the Snyderverse? Let us know in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to check out some more fun videos on our channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!